This 17 News at Noon podcast is brought to you by Clinica Sierra Vista.
Welcome back to the 17 News at Noon podcast, where we share your news on your schedule.
Well, good day. I'm Elena Rusk. Bakersfield Congressman Kevin McCarthy spoke with reporters this morning, addressing inflation, the southern border on oil, and topics he has emphasized frequently over the last few weeks. But today, McCarthy also turned his attention to the White House Intelligence Committee. We have 17's Maddie Gannon here in studio with more. What's going on?
Exactly, Elena. Those have been the biggest topics over the last few weeks. And today, McCarthy talked about gas prices, saying Democrats are blocking domestic oil production, especially here in Kern. He said Democrats are stopping Republicans from securing the southern border. He specifically talked about seeing videos from the southern border, saying, quote, "You would think it was video from Ukraine." But as mentioned, he also brought up something we haven't heard him focus on in a while. That's the House Intelligence Committee. McCarthy said Democrats have made the committee political, specifically calling out the chair, Adam Schiff.
You cannot make this committee political. You cannot use it as a position of a chairman to lie. And you should be focused on what the American people want you to be focused on around the world. How did you miss Afghanistan collapsing? How did you miss Ukraine? How have you missed every single part? Why? Because you're out lying about an impeachment and everything else.
He mentioned reporting from the New York Times this week, saying a grand jury is seeking information about international business dealings involving Hunter Biden, the president's son. Meanwhile, Kern's other Congressman David Valadao participated in a bipartisan supply chain roundtable, discussing legislation that seeks to help U.S. producers export products to international markets. At the panel, Valadao talked about representing farmers here in the Central Valley that feed the world, saying they've been hit hard by supply chain issues. In studio, Maddie Gannon, 17 News.
Hello, this is Tim Callahan with Clinica Sierra Vista, and we're excited to unveil the Community Health Center of the Future, our comprehensive care center. It's located right across the street from Memorial Hospital. We have every service under one roof, from family medicine, OBGYN care, dental services for adults and children, behavioral health, and much more. So find your way to better care at Clinica Sierra Vista this year at our comprehensive care center. Visit our website, clinicasierravista.org, for the latest on this project. We'll see you soon.
And now to our 17 Crime Watch. A man shot to death in Boron earlier this month has been identified. Investigators say 41-year-old Michael Ramos Jr. of Boron was shot multiple times early the morning of March 4th. Now, he is the man we believe led to an hours-long standoff that night on Nugent Street, just north of Highway 58 in the desert, that involved an officer shooting him to death. So we are just getting this story into our newsroom. More on that coming up later tonight. And now, as we take a look at detectives investigating another case, there was a double shooting on Union Avenue this morning. It happened near the Diamond Shamrock gas station on Union Avenue and 4th Street. Bakersfield police say around 2:20 this morning, an officer was patrolling the area and saw the attack happening and called for backup. One person was taken to the hospital with moderate to major wounds. Another person had reportedly minor injuries. 2 people have been arrested in that breaking news from this morning. And 1 person died and another suffered serious injuries in a crash on Stockdale Highway near Enos Lane early this morning. The CHP says just before 2 a.m., a vehicle drifted into a lane of a semi-truck, causing a head-on crash. Investigators say the driver of the vehicle was killed on scene. He has been identified as 24-year-old Bernabe Lopez Garcia from Arvin. Officers also report a passenger in the vehicle suffered major injuries, but the big rig driver was not harmed. Detectives do believe alcohol was a factor in this crash. And now to your 17 Court Watch. The husband of a woman killed 2 years ago in Northwest Bakersfield has entered a plea in court this morning. Court documents show 64-year-old John Leroy Gardner admitted to killing his wife and today pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity. 58-year-old Jane Gardner was found dead in her home on Vaquero Court on December 6th of 2020. Now, if Gardner is found not guilty by reason of insanity during trial, he could still spend the rest of his life in a state hospital. The next hearing in this case is set for June. All right, now to some education news. Kern County's 34th Annual Regional Science Fair was held virtually this week with more than 330 projects in all. The annual event is the culmination of months of hard work for 4th through 12th grade students. And here is video of past years when the fair could be held in person. Now, first place finishers in middle school and high school may be eligible to compete in the 72nd annual California Science Fair, which will also be held virtually coming up on April 12th. 2 projects from the high school division will represent Kern County in the Regeneron International Science and Engineering Fair, or ISEF, coming up in May in Atlanta, Georgia. This year's Kern County representatives are Harjasal Brar from Stockdale High School for his project in biomedical engineering, quote, designing, prototyping, and testing a novel, portable, energy-efficient 3D printed ventilator with a diaphragm mimicking membrane and an intuitive user interface. Incredible. Now, Brar also went to ISEF last year, and he got second place. The second student qualifying for ISEF this year is Alor Sahu, also from Stockdale High School, for a project in chemistry, green sonochemical mechanochemical one-pot synthesis of isoxazoline derivatives. Amazing. Now, for a full list on the winners this year, head over to our website, kget.com. Way to go, Science Fair. And now to our Water Watchers file. California is in a mega drought, and late this morning came the word there will be even less water coming from state reservoirs for farms and cities here in Central and Southern California. The California Water Resources Control Board now says water deliveries from the State Water Project will be just 5% of what farms and cities are contracted to receive under normal conditions. That's down from the 15% allocation announced in January. This comes as major reservoirs remain below normal levels, and climatologists and forecasters predict the state could end the month recording the driest January through March period in at least a century. Despite calls from Governor Newsom that we all reduce water use at home by 15%, California's water use actually went up in January by 2.5%. Now, even though we have some rain in the forecast tomorrow, and Kevin will get to that in a minute, water use is restricted in our area. So if you get your water from California Water Service Company, outdoor watering is limited to 2 days a week between the hours of 6 p.m. and 8 a.m. overnight. Now, if you get your water from the city of Bakersfield, outdoor watering is limited to 3 days a week between 6 p.m. and 9 a.m. Both water purveyors prohibit outdoor watering during and at least 48 hours after measurable rainfall. So if you wash your car with a hose, it must have a shutoff nozzle, and we are all prohibited from washing down driveways or sidewalks with a garden hose. All of this information is available on our website, kget.com. In business news, wholesale inflation in the United States shot up 10% last month as compared to February of 2021. Another sign the pressure from inflation remains intense at all levels of our economy. Food prices alone have risen 13.7%. In 1 year, we've seen a 3.1% increase for dairy products and a 6.8% increase for milk alone. Now, that's according to the Consumer Price Index from the U.S. Bureau of Labor and Statistics. Although dairy products may not be increasing quite as much as meat, they're still on the rise, and experts are forecasting food costs will continue to rise this year. Meanwhile, wholesale energy prices were up 33.8% over the past year. So as we watch the price at the pump rising here at home, let's look at the current costs. According to AAA, the national average for a gallon of gas is down again slightly today at $4.27. But here in California, our state average continues to climb. Currently $5.80 a gallon, while here in Kern County, it's $5.73 on average, both numbers up 2 cents from yesterday. To find the cheapest gas prices at a station near you, just head over to our website, kget.com. And in other news, just a little over a week after Disneyland announced the closure of the Pirates of the Caribbean ride, another park classic is set to close its doors. The Blue Bayou restaurant, located in New Orleans Square, will be closing indefinitely starting April 21st. They're saying it's for refurbishment. It's unclear whether this closure will entail and whether it's due to the park doing the work on the Pirates of the Caribbean ride, but we do know the restaurant is connected to the attraction as diners watch the riverboats cruise on by at the beginning of the ride there. So if you have tickets the next month, try and get your reservations. All right, now to the latest news of the coronavirus. Moderna says it is seeking authorization for a 4th dose of its COVID-19 shot. The company announced yesterday that it has submitted a request to the FDA to allow an additional booster dose for adults 18 years and older who have received an initial booster of any of the authorized approved COVID-19 vaccines. Now, Moderna is hoping to provide more flexibility for the CDC and medical providers to determine the, quote, appropriate use of a second booster dose of an mRNA vaccine, including those at higher risk of contracting COVID-19. And now to the latest COVID-19 case numbers here in Kern County. Today, Public Health updated their dashboard to show 110 new positive cases and 3 new deaths from the virus. State data shows 45 patients hospitalized with COVID-19 in the county and 7 people listed in intensive care units.
The 17 News at Noon podcast is a production of KGET and Nexstar Media Group. For more on all of the headlines in today's show, head to kget.com.